right. Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Martin coming to you with some of the Sublime Media Group team. And today we're going to talk in our first interview in our series of entrepreneurial marketing in practice. So, in this interview, you're going to hear from the leadership team of Sublime Media Group, and they are a growing creative and media business that I've worked with for many years, and they are located here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And as you watch this, I hope that you will pay really close attention to how entrepreneurship actually unfolds in real life, including recognizing opportunities, customer-centric decision making, risk taking, and the realities of the hustle that come along, and the failures sometimes that come along with owning your own business and staying on your toes with that all the time. So this conversation is going to relate directly to the different things that we've already spoken about in class, including looking for opportunities, understanding who your audience is, staying focused on your customer, and pivoting when things don't go very well. So first, I'd like our Sublime leadership team to introduce themselves. We'll start with John Doss. I feel like I'm in the Brady Bunch right here. So we're going to start with John. And please introduce yourself and tell us what you do and all that jazz.
I'm John Doss, co-founder and CFO of Sublime Media Group. Um, Wear many hats at Sublime, mainly deal with finances today and, invoicing and billing and payroll and all that stuff. But also still edit video and still go on shoots and really just dabble in a lot of parts of the business.
All right. Austin, Albany is next.
Yeah, I'm Austin, one of the co-founders, owners, and also CEO. Gave myself that big title a couple of years ago, and so yeah, handle a lot of different things with the company. Do a lot of sales, a lot of marketing strategy, meetings with clients, trying to determine what we're going to do each year, as well as just trying to figure out the direction the business constantly needs to head to. We this year, and we can talk more about this later, but off started a new service line that's been pretty lucrative to start the year, and it's allowed us to um, already start to see our business grow and everything. So do a lot of that kind of stuff, as well as like John says, I still edit videos from time to time and do different things like that as well. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Kayla Bittner.
Yeah. Hi, I am Kayla Bittner. I am the COO, Chief Operating Officer here at Sublime. And as these gentlemen do here, I also wear some different hats in the social world and digital advertising world as well. But in my role in leadership, whereas Austin kind of sets like the vision and like points the ship in the direction, I make sure that like all the gears are turning and the day-to-day things are functioning, that our business is operating to achieve those goals.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here with me today and for making time to talk to our class. I'm going to start I'm going to toss this one to John. So take us back to the beginning. What happened? How did Sublime Media Group get started? And what problem in the marketplace were you trying to solve? I talk to my students and tell them that problems and opportunities are really kind of synonymous. So what opportunity were you chasing when it happened, and how did you guys start the business?
I think we started in 2011. Austin and I both worked at the TV station together, and you know, um, the, we wanted to do amazing video work is what we wanted to do, both of us. That's the bread and butter of what Sublime has become. And the TV station was very limited in what we could produce, and we tried to push them to do more creative work, and they didn't really want to. So we kind of just started offering that on the side ourselves. And there was a real need at the time for like longer form videos and things like that our current job did not want to get into. So um, we just started taking on those jobs. We were pretty well networked at the time because of our position at the TV station. So we knew a lot of businesses, and they wanted content that they couldn't get anywhere else at the time. So that's kind of what it was born out of. And you know, it's about entrepreneurship. I mean, back then it was just about vacation money as far as the money side of it. We were trying to make a little extra side money.
Yeah, I
So
traveled a lot back then. So
Mhm.
So, Austin, at what point did you realize that this was more than a side hustle and this could actually be a real gig for us? And what was there an aha moment that was associated with that?
I think we both just had a year where we made like double on the side what we did in our day jobs, and kind of thought, you know what, maybe it's time to give it a shot. And we actually had a client at the time that worked with me. John was able to go under his wife's insurance. That was really the reason we kept our jobs, was like insurance benefits, that sort of thing. I didn't have the same option because my wife only worked part-time. She was a dental hygienist. So we had a client that let me come on kind of full time working for them doing marketing. And we actually worked out of their offices for the first couple of years that we left our day jobs, and allowed me to go into their insurance. So it was a kind of a very odd, you know, relationship in a way, but it worked out well for us at the time and allowed me and John to like finally take that step and, step out from what we were doing. So.
to add to
So,
that, if
oh,
I
I'm sorry, go
can,
ahead.
real quick, just real quick, that client, we had doubled our salaries on the side from what we were making, right? So we had that already. So we were already talking about it. But when that client approached us and asked us, what would it look like if Sublime took over our entire marketing? And I literally went back to the office to the station that day and put in my notice. I did it that day
But that
because we
felt
had been
awesome
talking. It did.
and
It was
scary.
scary. It was
I was
very
scared
scary.
to
Yeah.
death.
But I just knew I would regret it if we didn't try it. I knew I would think about it for the rest of my life. So
That's one of the things in our first couple of weeks of class that we talked quite a bit about was how the difference between a business owner and an entrepreneur, and how anybody can own a business. Somebody can step right into a business that's already functioning, and there's sometimes there's resources there, there's money there, you're pretty much guaranteed. But when you're the ones that own the business, you've got to keep that flow of money coming or you're not eating. So was that
I think
something that
about that
came
every day.
still
Still,
like
still,
still
yes,
to this day,
absolutely.
all these years
Yeah.
later, still to this day? So yeah, so I mean that's very real then. So they're hearing from real business owners that's definitely a thing that's important. I know my own parents owned a business for 40 years and it was never guaranteed. Your next job's never guaranteed. So Kayla then, when you came in several years ago, and then you worked into your COO role with Sublime, what systems or structure did you focus on to help the business scale?
Yeah, so me becoming COO was kind of born out of one of our clients recommended this really great book called Traction by Gino Wickman to Austin. And he was really inspired by it, had kind of wanted us to read it. As like everyone on staff at the time, I think we had 6 employees at that point. We started it, we stopped it, and I was like, look, these are really great ideas that we really need to start implementing. And so I just kind of was like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to sit down and we're going to go through all the steps of this book. And that really helped me fulfill like my drive toward, I have a master's in operational leadership, and that really fulfilled like what I love about operations and all of that. So we went through Traction, and a big part of Traction is like, okay, you have to write it down if you want to make it a reality. So that means setting your goals for 10 years, for 3 years, for a year, every quarter. And so formalizing those things was really important. We worked on that together, doing things like your mission, your vision, your core values. But then I've also spent a lot of time like making sure everyone's using our project management system. We have procedures that are documented and written for everything, which, for a big corporation, that's kind of course you're going to do that. But when, you're starting out as a small business that just started with 2 people, that's not something that you have. You have to build those things. So that's kind of been my role, is like writing down everything from how we hire people to how we hand off a client from when we sign on a deal to how do they go to their project manager to how does then like all of the video team and the social team interact with that client. Um, Also we do a daily stand-up call now, so I implemented that. And that's really helped with keeping us connected and accountable to one another. And then also making sure that like we as a leadership team are meeting regularly so that, we are continually keeping our eye on the prize because it's really easy to get mired in like the day-to-day minutia of what you do, but it all supports that big goal that you've set. So just making sure that we are constantly in conversation and that, again, those gears are all well oiled and working together all the time.
That's a great way of explaining how that works. That's great. Everybody should have a COO. Not all small businesses do. So, entrepreneurship is something, and I hear this from a lot of my students because I teach primarily seniors. This class is a bit of a mix, but when I ask them what they want to do, a lot of them have studied entrepreneurship. Of course, we have that major certificates and that at WKU and the College of Business now. So, a lot of them have studied that. But there really is a sense of glamour that is tied to being, I'm an entrepreneur. I have a big idea and I'm going to bring this big idea to fruition, whether it's a product or a service or what have you. But what does the day-to-day hustle really look like? And, John touched on it a little bit. You're still worried about it to this day and you're an established business now. So what does that hustle look like from the beginning to where you are now?
Cool if I take this one.
Yeah, please.
So I see so much content and people, I go to a lot of like marketing summits and things like that. I went to acquisition.com last year and listen to Alex Harmozy and all those people just talk about, being an entrepreneur and scaling your business, and I've read books about it and different things. Like I think that the main thing I want to say about this, and also having talked to a lot of different business owners, is yeah, it's cool to have the freedom of certain things. It's also nice to like, know I could come in and make a decision for myself and for my business each day. But it is very difficult. And I think a lot of times that's not conveyed. Everybody just puts this stuff out where it's like, um, you know, it's super easy and it's this fun life and everything. But, there are major problems that happen all the time when you run small business. I mean, if the roof leaks, it's your problem. I was at Disney one time with my family and stepped out of line for 2 hours talking to one of my biggest accounts at the time because the guy, it was just like I could not get off the phone with him. And, I shouldn't have taken the call, but when your big account calls, you take it. And so it can cause problems with your marriage and with your family and things like that because you're not around a lot. Or, you may have a week or two where I had one August, I was gone 24 days, like travel. And that was, yeah, I could have sent someone, but it was our biggest national account. And when they hired us, they said, I want Austin on all these shoots. So even though I was trying to run my business and do things, I was still having to go travel and do this specific shoot for a certain client. So there's a lot of things like that that come along with it that oftentimes they're glamorized from a content standpoint, or they're trying to get you to buy a book or some kind of class that they can coach you on or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like you do kind of live a bit on an island. That's why it has been nice to have like a business partner with John and now a leadership team with all three of us and even David Jose that works with us, I'm very, very close with him. And we have people that we can talk about these things with, but being a solo entrepreneur to me would have been something I probably would have done because I think I would have just like I've been stressed even more than I have been living that life because it's a lot and you very much are.
Yeah, I'm not really
Yeah.
sure how realistic it is to be successful without a team of people around you.
Oh,
And
most definitely.
that's, yeah, I mean, I mean, I think a lot of us would like to think that we can do it on our own, but we can't. And I mean, I think that's true. Like, I mean, I mentioned that my parents own their own business, and for most of the time, it was just the two of them. I mean, I can attest that, I'm definitely that latchkey kid from the 80s. I saw my dad maybe on Sunday afternoons
Yeah.
my whole life, because he was a musician also. So like I don't
Yeah.
recall having ever really spent a lot of time with him in my younger years. I spend a lot of time with him now, but I don't recall even knowing him very well. you
Well,
know,
a
which
lot of a lot of
when you're a teenager
entrepreneurs.
it doesn't matter, but still. But it is definitely a sacrifice that you make to to run your business for sure.
Well, from our standpoint too, we had no seed money. Like John and I both, I mean, come from nothing. So it was every bit of, money in, money out. We called it sweat equity at the time. So you were working your day job, you were going home at night and editing and doing things. And it's like the sacrifice portion of that, it does weigh on you. We've both probably shaved years off our life from stress and things like that, from having to work that way. But at the end of the day, we were wanting to build something. If you work for someone else, how far you go is always dependent on what they think of you and how they feel like you fit in some kind of puzzle or whatever. And so when you work for yourself, it really is a situation where, you
Yeah.
can do whatever you want, but it's like at what
You
expense?
got to put in the work. Yeah.
How
But it's
long
always
was
there.
it before you could take a salary in the beginning?
Oh, we did
Or
from
were
day
you like feeding
Well,
all your money back into the business?
we
no.
didn't really take salary. We took money when we could early on.
Yeah.
Even when we didn't go full time. We started in 2011, but we didn't go full time until 2017. And even then, there was like a month where I didn't take any money, and we were struggling. Not as a business so much as me personally,
Well,
but
sure. Yeah.
Well, but it's like some clients want to pay net 45 or net 90. And so like
right.
Right.
a couple of big jobs that we were like, oh, we're not going to get paid for this for a while, right? So remember that, John,
Yeah.
we took a
Oh,
small
we
line of
took a
credit
line of
for
credit.
a
Yeah,
month to pay us. Like,
just in
Yeah.
case. But probably it was probably a few months into being full time where we took a regular salary, I would
Yeah.
say. And that's uh, how many years into the business? That's six and a half
5 years,
years.
6 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
but
Uh,
even then, we had years where we made a lot because we were doing weddings and stuff. So
Oh, yeah.
there was like, still to this day, the most money I probably made in one year was the year, I think I was 30 that year, and we did what, 36 weddings or something like.
Yes.
So
yeah,
we were taking money. It was just whenever we got it, though. It wasn't like,
right.
My husband's a photographer, so I can relate to that. And that's
Mhm.
also why he no longer shoots weddings.
Yeah,
Like, nope.
they're
And
So,
paid.
and
so is
and
there a particular failure or a setback that happened early on, or does that kind of all sort of rolls into one, that you had to kind of
Honestly,
overcome
yeah,
that set the
Sublime.
tone?
I don't think Sublime's had too many, honestly. We've had clients come and go that were, frustrating at times, like meaning we didn't want them to leave and they did, or, it was just not the best part, departure. But for the most part, we've had consistent growth, and even through COVID, like we added 3 employees that year. I mean, we really did like the entire time keep growing. But we've had a couple side ventures we've tried to take on that really haven't done much. I guess those are things that pop
waste
in
our
my mind.
time.
Yeah, waste our
Yeah,
time. And it keeps you from growing faster because you
Yeah.
get caught up in these other things. I guess the tornado hitting our building before we moved in was probably a big setback for us at the time. Uh,
yeah,
wouldn't you say, John?
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. That was a setback for everybody in this area for sure. In this least in the downtown area for sure.
Mhm.
So how do you balance your creative passion with financial and operational realities?
We don't. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean
I
that
think that
that's
comes
that's always been my one complaint is that when you do it for a living, you do it all the time, it makes you love it a little bit less. It's
well,
always fun to create what you want to create versus what you have to create. So what's it like running a business and being a creative? Because most people's minds don't work both ways, but yours do.
yeah, it's interesting. I think some of it comes down, especially today, comes down to a balance of a good team, and we all have different skill sets. But early on, I think Austin's always had more of that vision side of him, and I didn't really necessarily have financial early on, but I took it on, and I found that I enjoyed it. So honestly, just surrounding yourself with good people over time, and just grunting through it at the beginning. I mean, we got into it because we wanted to do this creative work, obviously, but there's a whole side of things that I didn't even think about early on. I didn't think about, but I really didn't think about until we became full time. and all these problems keep popping up, and you're like, oh, I have to deal with X, Y, and Z now. Things I would have never thought.
Mm-hmm.
And to piggyback on what he's saying too, for me, I've never stopped loving producing content and creativity and all that. That's why I got into this is I wanted to like I love creating something from nothing, like just kind of having the full control of that. And that's why I will probably never fully give it up. And honestly, that might affect us as a company growing to the level we could because I still like to work in the business. And yeah, I might still work 40 to 50% of the time in the business on content for people and things like that. And at some point it might be more like 15 to 20%
Mm-hmm.
of the time, but like I don't see myself ever fully giving it up just because I don't think I would be happy as a person if I didn't have the opportunity to work on certain things. So
Well, I think as someone who like works, with and for you both, like that's one of the most attractive things about this business is that like you both love to create so much and like it is your lifeblood and you will not give it up. And you know, it's not about like, oh, I just want to like build this business up and sell it off. Like it is truly like your creative passions and what you've built that like give everyone that we work with on this team like a good and fulfilled life. Um, and that's just a pleasure to be here because of that.
And you probably, Kayla, you and some of your staff members who are kind of younger in their careers, not age-wise, but in their careers, are probably getting a fair amount of mentorship as well and learning so much by just practical experience on the job. And I'm sure you're learning a ton from them too, just like I learned from my students when they come in. I'm like, wow, y'all teach me something new. Every semester I learn something new from them for sure, especially in the social media world. There's a ton of that. So, and segueing into that, so you all do not just video production, but you have photography, you have strategy, you have social media, you have design, you have web, you touch a lot of things. So basically, you are a full service multimedia firm, if you will, that helps other businesses market their businesses. But how do you market yours?
not as well as we should, but we stay
Do
busy
you
enough.
need to? Do you feel
No,
like you need
I
to?
mean, so to keep growing like we're growing, we don't need to. Referral based, doing good work, having a great reputation. But I mean, we would like to grow little faster than we have been the last few years. We ran bloated for a few years with our team just because we wanted to get the people in place to be able to accommodate bigger accounts and things like that. And it just kind of took us like running a little, I don't know what the word is, but like, John and I not taking profits and things like that, like we could, had we really tried to run it more, just profit based. But we knew, hey, if we really want to have a great web department, we've got to employ these certain people. If we want to have a great digital team, right? I went to a content marketing world years ago and came back from that and told John, it's like, we are leaving so much money on the table because we're handing people content that they don't know what to do with it. And we have to build a digital team, right? That was a huge investment for us. That's when we hired Kayla and started doing social media and things like that for clients. But we knew that investment would eventually grow the business to where we could scale in multiple areas. And it's nice because say we have a down web year, well, that's okay because maybe video picked up the slack or social media or digital advertising picked up the slack. So it allows us to, you know, I guess really from a market standpoint, continue to grow and do good things when certain areas of the business might not perform as good as the other, I guess if that makes sense. So that and I'm a control freak, so I like having talent in-house. I like people working here. I don't love, I mean, every summit I go to, people are just like, oh, you need to hire VAs or you need to do all this stuff. It's like, I don't want to do that. I want to create real jobs for people, in our market and grow the business that way because it's never been about being some big crazy wealthy successful person to me, like stepping on throats and being awful to my employees and all that. We really do want to have a good culture and a good environment, and for the most part people hang around for a while when they start working here, and that to me means a lot. And I would like to continue that way, not just doing it for money, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So Sorry, I just talked a
Yeah, I
lot.
don't know that I've ever met anyone who started their own business, owned their own business, or had an entrepreneurial idea that was doing it for the money. The money might follow.
I have met several people like that, Corie. So
Yeah, I mean, I just most of the people that I've interviewed for things like this are just like, well, I didn't really start out wanting bukus of dollars because with bukus of dollars come bukus of other problems.
yeah,
So, it's like they're just happy that their business is doing well.
sure.
So, what are some ways that, or well, let's back up a minute. Let's talk about your client base. You mentioned that you have national clients. You've got a lot of local clients. I'm one of them. But let's talk about who your ideal client is and who you're looking for, because video production in particular is not the most affordable thing for most businesses, particularly small businesses. So how do you accommodate the needs of different types of people, or are there types of folks that you just are like, they're not ideal for us?
Guys, what's in our handbook?
We don't do
We don't do
startups.
startups.
Mhm. So
Fair.
that's
We
number
don't
one.
do startups.
Really, small businesses are not, they don't have budgets. They think one video is going to make them millions of dollars, and it's just they're not a good fit typically. The majority of our client base, we've kind of been paring down to more industries that we focus on lately, and I think that's been good to wrap your head around. But we kind of pulled all the clients that we currently work with, and we're like, what areas and industries are we serving the best? And it's a lot of industry, manufacturing, a lot of construction, healthcare, a lot of higher ed, and also apparel. We do, Fruit of the Loom is one of our bigger national accounts in jerseys, and we work with Russell Athletics as well through them, Vanity Fair. And then we have a pretty big screen print operation out of Los Angeles that we market currently, and also, but we do have a lot of regional accounts. We just picked up a group out of Michigan that we're doing a really nice OTT and digital advertising campaign for, with production and a website with that as well. So we do quite a bit of organic social for different clients and some paid social as well. But we've been moving more into just being digital, as opposed to just running everybody's social media day to day, because we want to be flexible and versatile for people. But a lot of service-based companies, a lot of don't do a ton of like e-com or anything like that, because that's so it takes so much attention to do that effectively
Mhm.
that you really have to have like a strong team in-house to pull that off if you're a company and you're wanting to, be a national e-com like Pink Lily or something like that. They're not farming to an agency. They've got a team doing that
Yeah,
in-house for them
internal.
because it's
So, I mean, for a lot of entrepreneurs, there
Hard. It's
are
hard.
that word. I know you should see me try to type it like 200 times a week now. So for a lot of people that are starting businesses or trying to grow businesses, um, partnerships are kind of the way that they accomplish those things. So do you partner with vendors who maybe provide services that you don't, or toss people to them like, okay, well, we don't really do e-commerce, but here's a company that we know of or that we've worked with before that does,
well, we
or
build
something like
e-commerce
that?
websites. We just won't like
Right.
run them or market
Yeah,
them.
you don't like manage all that. I mean, that's a ton of content, so I can
Yeah,
understand why.
honestly,
Yeah.
we don't have a lot of clients that come to us wanting something we can't do, to be honest. I mean, would you
Yeah.
all say, um,
Yeah.
really?
That's been my experience. Though, like y'all have been able to pick up everything I've thrown at you, even some really weird stuff. So
Well, I mean, but like for instance, we don't have like so if you get into the OTT and digital world, like with DSPs, we don't have our own DSP, so we do like go through Simplify or Premium when we place digital buys, but it's the same with placing a buy through Meta or Google.
right.
But we are a direct account, with those companies. So we do send for ads and things like that. We place buys through third parties, but that's really the only thing we don't do
Yeah.
in-house for the most
It's
part.
almost easier to do it that way on stuff like that, just for the back end stuff
Well, and
too.
I think that like that's one of our big differentiators is that we do so much in-house. Like we're a full house of people who are very talented in lots of many ways, and we do it all here. We don't have to
Yeah.
outsource.
Yes. And that is nice, speaking from the client perspective, because I run a small team here. There's 6 of us, including me. We all have our sleeves rolled up every single day. And so you all are an extension of us, which is really awesome to have you all as a resource. So just speaking as a client, that's been really great for me to be able to because I'm like you, I have my own team. They're all really talented, but we can't service this huge region and this huge industry alone. So it helps to have y'all with us. So how do you differentiate your brand? I mean, talk to us about your marketing campaign. And I will share some links to some of those things with the students in their folder so they can see some of the marketing pieces that you all have done to market your own business. But what was sort of your thought when you came up with, I know you all worked on a campaign last year.
Mhm.
What were you thinking when you came up with all of that?
Just have to plug that it was an Emmy award-winning campaign because I'm so proud of my team
I
Oh,
on
wasn't
yes,
that.
yes. Emmy
I
award
wasn't
winning
gonna say
campaign.
anything.
Yeah, well,
Um,
my name, I didn't actually win the Emmy, so I get to tout. I get to tout like my team did this amazing work. But the campaign was themed around the idea of like we can help you get your time back because time is such a valuable resource for every client that we have. Like you're stretched thin, and you want to get back to your life. You want to do more with the dollars that you have. So that was the key element of the campaign was like Sublime, get your time back. And Austin can kind of talk more about like the development of it. We've developed like 3 personas for it that were all like different client types that we see a lot, like the one-man band, the person who does it all. What were the other? What were the other?
it had the kind of like, so there was the one man marketing person who yeah, was just stuck in a world where they were expected to be anything and everything. We also targeted one of them towards more of the old school marketer who's doing a lot of print and billboards and that kind of stuff. And then the third persona was like an influencer style person. And we were that one, honestly, too, once we got into it and started doing it and started running ads, realized like that's probably not our best audience. And so through it, that was one we kind of pulled back on because we had a lot of people messaging us like online and being like, hey, I want to start doing TikTok videos or whatever. And it's just like that's not really what we wanted to do for that. We
Yeah.
wanted to get like a pretty legit business that maybe has that internal marketing person that used to be in television or something like that that wants to do more elevated content. And so it really wasn't hitting that portion of the message wasn't hitting the way we thought and had hoped. So we leaned heavier into the other two with that campaign when we were running ads. But really the whole purpose of that was I wanted actually saw ClickFunnels was kind of who I found a video that I really liked and sent to the team that they were doing. But I wanted that decision validating content that could land like that could live on a landing page for us. So as we were running digital ads, they go to this page and there's this 2 to 3 minute like high-end video that's thought-provoking that gets you to take an action. And that's where it all started. From there, we cut some different ad pieces that drove traffic to that landing page. But the overall goal was if somebody's on the fence or if they're shopping or bidding between like 3 different agencies, we wanted that piece of content that was going to really help us stand out. And there have been multiple times at jobs like I can think of one in particular we did with a client last year, and when we met with them, they were like, "I watched that video and I thought that's me. Like I want to work with them because they understand me and what I'm going through at work." And I tell my clients all the time, it's like my job is to make you look great to your bosses. Like
Mhm.
that's what I want to do. I want you to be able to
And you
walk
do.
around and you
You
can take,
accomplished that very well from my
and I tell them too,
perspective.
it's like take credit for everything. Like I want you to go in there and get the promotion and get we're really here to make you look good to your bosses. And because of that, we work with people for a very long time. So
So what market did you choose? Where did you run this campaign, or where are you currently running this campaign? Or what was that
well,
choice like?
we've got a Louisville satellite office, so we run some ads there. We do a lot of northern Tennessee as well. So it's really kind of this I-65 corridor between Louisville and northern Nashville. We really try not to dip down into Nashville. It's more what Hendersonville, Gallatin, Portland, that
Yeah.
sort of thing. But really that 100 miles around Bowling Green outside of, not really, you just spend a lot more money if you run in Nashville, and there's a lot of
Hmm.
competition down there. So we try to keep our budget more for the area I just mentioned. So.
What channels did you choose? Where are you running on TV? You running digital? Where are you at?
Well, the OTT portion is actually relatively new. We just started offering that direct as a service. We were going through actually a TV station for our buys, and kind of found out they were taking a very large portion of the ad buy. So we wanted to go direct, and that's why we set that up in October, I think is when we became
Mhm.
an official partner. So even though I'd been placing media buys for years, that was when we started directly doing that to save our clients money. And so that actually, since that's relatively new, we're about to start an OTT campaign here in the next couple of months. But we've primarily we do pay-per-click with Google or Performance Max.
Mhm.
We've ran those for years, and actually booked a really big account last year out of Northern Kentucky from that. So, I mean, that's something where you may run 500 or $1,000 a month all year long and not really book anything, but you get that one account and it just makes it, you know what I
Pays
mean?
for itself.
Yeah, it pays for
So
itself.
how did your client in Michigan find you? Was that word of mouth?
Actually, they just opened a location at the Trans Park here, but they're out of Michigan, and so
Okay.
they were recommended by someone, and so everybody we've been meeting with, the CEO, all those things, they're in Michigan, and so luckily they've opened a branch here, and yeah, they
Cool.
decided to partner with us instead of a couple of Michigan groups that they pitched to because they were really impressed. So
Yeah. And I'm a firm believer of course, digital advertising and like the impact that like meta ads and performance mags and all of these different tools can have, but like it can't be under or overstated enough like how important referrals and word of mouth and like boots on the ground, being out in the community and shaking hands and like building real actual relationships is for this business. I think that like that is the biggest where we see the largest growth is when we're connected with our community.
And to
So
piggyback on that, I would say the level of care we put in to our clients and their projects, like I, I, I don't think we would be nearly as successful if we actually, we put in real care. Like we don't just phone in work. We
mhm.
want it to be the best it can be for our clients. We really do, and we bend over backwards to do that sometimes.
What do you feel like is the biggest threat to your industry right now? Like, what are you, when you're looking forward to the future, are you concerned with AI? Are you concerned with local competition? Or are you just, you're good at what you do, you're doing what you do, you're going to keep moving?
so I've been thinking a lot about this. I find myself doom scrolling on the weekends and stuff. It's like, oh, I'm running an agency. Everybody's saying this stuff's all going to move over to, AI and all these different things. At the end of the day, from a marketing standpoint, if a bank president needs a website, they're not going to figure out how to build it themselves or trust their marketing team to do it, who needs to be out shaking hands, doing all the things. They need a bunch of nerds who keep up with all the trendy, even if we are using more and more AI, we still need to understand, the security portion of a website or the hosting side of it, like all the rules with ADA compliance and all those things. So even if you're telling AI, hey, build this for me, it's going to leave things out. It's going to do
Yeah.
something maybe that's not accurate in your state or doesn't keep up with California. Like you need to know those things to
Mhm.
where you can go in and still fix it and clean it up. Like, you can vibe code a website right now easily.
Mhm.
You can do it in a day. But we're coming off our best web year ever, and this year is looking to top it because people
Yeah.
don't want to mess with it. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's one of those things we were told when we started doing websites, like, why are you messing with that? That's not even
Ah,
going to be a thing in 10 years. And it's been a consistently growing portion of our business. So all I'm getting at is for us, I think it's just making us more efficient and it's allowing us to get more stuff out the door quicker.
just another tool in the box.
It
Right.
really is. Because at the end of the day, like you still have to understand how advertising works and how marketing works. And, if it just helps you grow and be better, I mean, for us, it's just cost savings. I mean, what have we saved in voiceovers this year, John? Like, I mean, just being real, like
A
thousands
lot.
of dollars from
Yeah.
using AI voiceovers. And like, there's
Hmm.
things like that that have really helped our business. So,
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, we're not naive. AI is going to get better at fooling us, But so far, what I've seen is that people still want personal connection, and
Hmm.
and, and honestly, as AI is in its infancy as far as the public is concerned,
Hmm.
and we're already getting tired of it.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
everybody I know is getting tired of it, and
Yeah.
it will get better, and it will fool us. But like,
I'm waiting on the bubble to burst, but then, Kayla knows that I've been waiting on this bubble to burst for years. People are going to want to get back to handshakes and eye contact.
well, like
And,
you can,
yeah.
I can doom
Kayla
scroll
agrees
all.
with me or doesn't agree.
I
No, I
can
do.
doom
I
scroll.
do.
Yeah.
The problem is everybody's become so addicted. I mean, every piece of software you get on, its whole goal is to keep you on as long as possible. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
so I don't think we're ever going to fully move away from technology. Like it's going to be such a huge part of life moving forward, but
Yeah. So before we get off of the topic of AI, Corie, you know, like what a data nerd I am. The Sprout Social 2026 social media like use report came out, and they did this really like interesting juxtaposition of like what do marketers plan to prioritize in their content in 2026 versus what do consumers want brands to prioritize.
Mm.
And so marketers number two is AI generated content. But the number one things that consumers said that they want brands to prioritize is human generated content.
Yeah.
So because users want what we do,
Yes.
like I don't think that we're going out of business anytime soon because of
No,
because
and yeah, and I could not agree with that more. I've always, because I kind of grew up from the minute it started to present day. And I mean, I started in journalism, and newspapers are almost gone, which are very sad, but it's just the way there are other ways to write words and put them out in the world. And I mean, I do believe it's a wonderful tool. I use it every day. But definitely it's an art form in how to use it and have it actually, do
and,
things for you and
I
help
know,
you out.
Corey,
But
you use it every day, and I also know you're currently adding to your team. So it's made you more
yes.
efficient. It's made you allowed you to do stuff. But as med centers are growing, and as you guys are adding hospitals and all the things, you're still
Yeah.
adding to the marketing team. You're not letting people go because of AI.
Oh no. No, 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 no. And it's it's interesting. Like, yeah, definitely. I don't see it taking over our jobs. I think a lot of people are worried about that from a marketing standpoint. And it's relevant to this conversation as entrepreneurs, because all of the people in this class are researching how to represent small and entrepreneurial businesses from a marketing standpoint, and how, if you are a party of one, for example, which a lot of them will be, and a lot of us were at one point, how you represent that business responsibly and help them grow and represent them to the public in a responsible way. Um, I mean, AI again, I mean, I really believe that it's a tool in the kit, but it's got a lot of bugs and flaws that are real easy to spot. But it does help a lot of small businesses do things. I mean, I used to laugh with Kayla because there was a particular restaurant in town that, a lot of the personnel at the restaurant, you knew it was a great restaurant because they did not speak English. And then all of a sudden they're posting these posts on Facebook that are like the most beautifully written English you've ever seen. And you didn't write that,
yeah,
and
you
it's
can
like,
clock that like that is a
it's
chat
like,
GPT caption.
yeah, like chat for the win. But it's like, okay, whatever works for you, that's great. But it was like some of the biggest adjectives ever used to describe burritos and tacos, but cool, whatever. So so it's interesting though, to kind of hear y'all's perspective on, is that a threat? We're always looking at, what are the opportunities? Where are we going to grow? I mean, everybody in every industry is looking for growth opportunities and looking for, how do you sustain your business over time? I mean, I've watched you all grow. I imagine I probably met you when it was still just the two of you, and now how many employees do you have today?
14.
14.
14.
Yeah.
14. So, and you do have a studio, a local studio. You do give some of your employees the opportunity to work remotely if they need to. You most definitely are, in my view, the picture of a modern workplace. And the fact that you are able to have a bunch of creatives that work really well together is also really cool from my own perspective as a creative person as well. So looking back, what is something that you wish you had known before you got started?
Hmm. Um, Gosh,
I know it's a hard one.
I don't think I read down that far in the questions, right? But I
Well,
mean,
what's something, I mean, if you could have changed something or done something differently, would
Well, I
you?
can tell you right away, I we should have quit our day jobs earlier and pursued
yeah.
this earlier. I think that's one thing we've both said many times. We waited. We were risk averse,
Mm-hmm.
probably a little too risk averse. Even though we took a risk, um, we did it in the least risky way possible. Really, like you
Well, it
said
is
about taking the
scary.
job with the insurance that
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, you all
absolutely.
had families to support and,
Right. Well, and we got
I
into
mean,
we did this a little older. We had kids and stuff. A lot of entrepreneurs start when they're 23 and have no family and they can do whatever they want. And we couldn't do that.
One
yeah.
thing I did, actually, the first few years we were in business, we were giving market exclusivity to a lot of different industries. And we still have that with Med Center, and we'll always have that with Med Center, but
I'm
we had
like,
completely moved away from that
my fault.
as a business model, because
It's
we had
crippling.
accounts. Yeah, it was just so crippling.
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah.
so, we had like, I remember one year we had like an exclusivity with an insurance company, with a bank, and with a personal injury attorney, with a hospital.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that because it was real easy for me to go into a meeting and offer that, and no one else was, and that's because it's not a very smart business move. So
Well,
that's
if you keep going that way, you have 10 clients and that's
yeah.
it. Right?
So
Because how
Right.
many industries are there?
yeah,
Yes,
Not very many.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
And I,
that
I
was
mean,
probably
I
something.
think from the client perspective, I mean, I work for a very, very large healthcare based organization. And um, like it's tough when your competition has the same level because you all are at like an 11 or higher, like way higher, like at a 20 something. And, I want my competition going to the local TV stations and having their commercials produced, frankly, because mine look a lot better. They might not pay a whole lot for them, but you know what? It's like I'm blessed with resources. So we appreciate that certainly. But I do understand from a business perspective how and to explain to the students sort of what that means if you've never come across that when you work out a deal for exclusivity, that basically means that we're the only hospital and healthcare system that does what we do in this market that Sublime will work with. We're not the only healthcare organization. I'm sure you have others that you have worked with
Mostly
and
like
done business with different types of things that we don't offer, for
it'd be like
example.
dental and stuff like that.
Yeah, like because we don't do that here. But yeah, so I mean, there's certainly other opportunities, and I have worked just because Med Center is a large influential brand. Um, we have agreements like that with other places. Like obviously, if I'm on a digital billboard, I don't want my competitor on the next billboard slide that comes up, I mean, but it's not uncommon for that to happen though, and I think that's just something that comes with the privilege of sort of being who we are and, being a good partner. But I agree with you. It's not that simple anymore. It doesn't,
Yeah,
we don't
and
see that I don't
I
see that
told
as much. And I try not to ask for it too. Like,
Well,
I
I
don't,
told you too. I mean, you know this. Like, we were working with two other pretty big hospitals when we signed with you, and I had to call both of them and fire them. But it was worth it. It was money well spent. Or,
yeah, I would hope so.
it was a good decision
Money
at the
well
time.
earned.
Yeah, money well earned. But it was still very awkward. One of the marketing people have not spoken to me to this day. So,
Oh
no,
gosh.
yeah,
Well, then you didn't need that person to begin with,
I
if that's the
I
way that
didn't.
is. So, okay, last question that I have for you, and I'm gonna start with Kayla so Kayla can talk for a minute. What advice would you give to students who are looking at because you made a conscious choice to go to work for a small business, and that is a leap of faith for anybody to do. So what would you tell students who are about to start looking for jobs and looking for their careers, as far as, what kind of questions go through your mind?
Um, for me, I really looked for um a place where I could make an impact. Like, do I feel like I can make an impact here, not only like for the clients that we have, but like on this, like with this team in general. Like, one thing that really attracted me to Sublime was like the creative freedom and the opportunity to take a risk and build something with people. Um, because when you have somewhere more established, like you step into a role and you don't get a chance to pivot the way that we do. And that is like, it is a leap of faith and it is a risk, but like the reward for that for me, um, it was just where I was at in life and it's really paid off.
Yeah.
So look for somewhere where you can make an impact, be like whatever drives you, like whatever your motivator is. And somewhere that like respects you as a whole person. I got hired, the pandemic hit, we worked from home for a year and we started to come back to work. And then immediately after that, like I got pregnant and had to go back to working from home. And through a lot of like really stressful situations, like a lot of people say like our work was like a family, but like these two men have supported me in ways that, if I were just a nameless like employee at a corporation, I wouldn't get that. And for me, that's really important. Like it's really important for me that I work for somewhere who sees me as a full, complete person with a complete, like rich life outside of the workplace. Um, So I think just identifying like what is important to you, what are your values, and finding somewhere that you can participate and contribute to that also upholds those.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you guys?
Man, that question got me. I don't in my feels a little bit, and I know.
Sorry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, golly. So,
Oh.
what was the question?
What advice would you give to the next generation coming up?
Um,
They're either looking to start their own business or get a job working with a small business. Because
I would.
a lot of these students may very well step into an organization like yours and,
Yeah.
have a role with an organization like yours.
I would say this, and I've actually argued with people at WKU over this as a mentality because I don't like it. There is this big push now that you have, if you're somewhere longer than 2 years, you're some kind of failure. It's crazy to me,
Oh,
but it's this whole philosophy that you have to jump every 2 years to really move up, like super quick. And I look at, if you come to a job interview with us and have already, I don't know, you're 27 and you've worked 5 places or
yeah,
something.
I don't like that.
I look at that and I'm like, oh, they're not going to be here long. They're not going to be,
Mm-mm.
they're not wanting to build. They're not wanting to do different things. So I just feel like that's almost doing a disservice to people because if you're jumping that quick and you're always the new hire places, then you're going to be the first one cut when they have layoffs. You're going to be the one that they're just like, hey, we just brought this person on. Um,
I actually just saw that happen to somebody that we all know.
I see it a lot. I see
Yeah.
it a whole lot. So, and we have people that are here that sometimes I'm just like, just be patient. And I'm not talking like 8 years here. I'm talking like 3. Come on, let's
Yes.
just let's focus
There
on
is a
permanently.
mentality among some younger generations that they want to be promoted early and often. And
Hmm.
they can be kind of aggressive about it. And those of us, like, at any given time, you could work in an organization that has up to 4 different generations working together with all those different communication styles floating around and leadership styles floating around. And most businesses do not, I mean, including the one where I work.
Mhm.
And I've been here 7 years almost, and there, I will probably not get promoted until I've been here 20.
Mhm.
And I don't know what's in the cards for me, but I do know that's how it works around here. They still consider me new here,
Yeah.
even though it's been seven
Yeah, and,
years.
and and I feel like it's doing a disservice to the younger generation because I think they come in and they're seen as like, never satisfied with anything and always like pushing, where, other people are like, wow, it took me 15 years to get this job.
For real.
And so I'm not saying not to be aggressive and not to be passionate and not to work hard, but if you work somewhere for 5 years, I think that's amazing. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see that as, wow, you gave something your all in those things. You're not
Mhm.
a failure if it takes you a bit. I feel like honestly, any role, if it takes a year or two to become really good at it, like,
Yes.
and if
There's a
you're
tremendous amount of growth that takes place in 5 years' time.
Correct.
From a professional standpoint, from a personal standpoint, I mean, when Kayla and I worked together, we were both much younger
Mhm.
and years and years ago. And I mean, I can see the tremendous growth that both of us have experienced since that time, in addition to what we had at that time. And also, I mean, I think you're either pushed forward or held back by the organization that you work for or by the leadership that you work for.
Mhm.
And you have to find ways around that as well. And I think that's our upcoming graduates are stepping into the workplace that's like that. So it really does depend on the type of organization. And those are good questions to ask too when you're interviewing to
Mhm.
get an idea of culture and what does advancement look like and all
Can
that
I
kind
add
of stuff.
one more thing too, a little bit? My grandmother said this to me as a kid, and I think it also it works for this same scenario. Like she said, the biggest mistake that young people make is they feel like when they get married, they have to have everything their parents had immediately. So they go into all this debt. They buy a bunch of things that they shouldn't as a young couple, like because they want to be where their parents were. Well, I think some of that also works with like your early work years. Like this whole like I gotta have the work-life balance, or I'm only giving you the 8 hours and stuff. I'm not saying kill yourself and work 20 hours, a day and things like that. But going above and beyond, paying your dues a bit, like doing the extra things, staying late, or like I used to sit at WBKO when I worked there. I'd get off at whatever 11, and I'd go downstairs to creative services because I wanted to work in that department. And I would work on animating stuff till 2 or 3 in the morning and off the clock just to show them that I could do things like that because I wanted to show them, hey, I belong in that department. And so, John remembers those days. Like
I think we both did a lot of that.
we
I
did,
did a
yeah.
lot of working over. It wasn't required.
Mm-mm.
Nobody
Mhm.
probably even knew I was doing it, but it really allowed me to grow in my craft
Yes.
and like that's invaluable,
Yeah,
really.
yeah. I'm
And
consistently impressed with initiative.
Mhm.
And initiative doesn't necessarily come along with expertise. It's just people showing that they want to learn or that, I do find myself constantly going to my own team and saying, what do you want to learn how to do this year? Like what is something new that you want to tackle either on a personal level or on a professional level? Like what can I teach you or what opportunity can I provide you? What project do you want to work on? Like what do you want to do? Because most organizations are not going to promote you right away. But if you're lucky and you have a good boss or a good organization that will let you stretch your wings a little bit and try new things, like we have a staff member on our team who joined us. He was in broadcasting and he joined us and he was like, so I have a podcast that I do about U of L basketball. I would love to see about doing a podcast here. Cool. I mean, and then last year our podcast just like exploded in its second year. And that was his initiative, his idea. I was just like, okay, give me a list of tech you need and I'll buy you the equipment and you go. Like, I'm not doing this. You're doing this. And it worked out great. But not everybody has the freedom to do stuff like that. But I mean, initiative is costs nobody anything.
Mhm.
Right. I want to preface this by saying that we we do strive to have everybody have a good work-life balance here.
Yeah.
I think it's important and we have the resources to allow that. Um, I would say if you're a do your eight and hit the gate person, you're going to be an anomaly if you get very far.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like I just don't think it's not in your if you're do your eight, hit the gate person, I don't think it's in your DNA to be an entrepreneur at
Yeah.
all.
No.
No.
And maybe not to work for one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, and also what we're learning with in this, like the particular book that we use for this class, and one of the points they make that I think is a good one is that the entrepreneur is not necessarily, it's a mindset and not a job. Like it's not your job title. It's a mindset. It can be my mindset, even though I don't own the business I work for. It can be Kayla's mindset because she's finding the best and most efficient ways to run this business and keep things moving. It's your mindset is coming up with new and creative ways to do things and gaining new clients. So, but yes, you're absolutely right. It is definitely not something that is ever easy to walk away from, that
I
mindset.
mean, it's on your mind 24/7. Like I'm not a partner with this business, but like I do really identify with what you just said because I daydream about like ways that I can contribute to our growth and making everyone here better. And I think that like that's what it is. It's like the thing that you just can't get off your mind that you're constantly driven toward.
Yeah.
Um, and that can't
Yeah,
be like
I
taught.
think about this a lot. I mean, I feel extremely lucky to love what I do because I don't think a lot of people, can say the same. And I
Yeah.
will say it's alienated me a bit from friends and things. Like there's certain things I could every day talk to my friends and be like, this was so cool, this thing happened and all that. But I realized like they don't want to hear that. Like they don't want to hear the constant like awesome stuff
Ambition.
and the ambition and all those things. So
Hmm.
I really
I
do
would
have
love
to
to
cut it
hear
off.
that.
Well,
Like, I'm your friend. I want to hear
yeah,
that.
but I'm saying though, most people like don't they're not in the same kind
Well,
of
and I think some people just can't relate to for lack of a better word, the like almost ADHD nature of being obsessed with what you do. And there's nothing wrong with, like my dad was obsessed with what he did. And he was, I mean, he was constantly had his face in AutoCAD, finding better ways and newer ways and better materials and, just different things with what he did every day. And, that inspired me to, I never wanted to take over the family business. That was definitely not in the cards for me because I wanted to be a writer and that's what I was going to go do. But when that opportunity came for me to help them with some marketing, they were like, we don't want it, we don't need it, we can't accommodate it, like we've got all the business we need. And then ultimately when both of my parents were ill and I had to sell the business, and when I sold the business for them, it sold immediately on reputation alone. They did not have one single contract, not one. We didn't even sell their business based on, well, we had this guaranteed money coming in the door. They had guaranteed money coming in the door just because of who they were. And
Mhm.
that was how I sold that business, just because it had such a good reputation after 4 decades in Nashville in the music industry. So, I mean, it was not the easiest thing to do. And, I'm not going to lie, I can't go look at that Facebook page now because I don't want to know what they're doing without the Morels involved in it. But I mean, it is, word of mouth is critical in that space, and developing those relationships like what you all said, and it's tough when you're a kid to see the forest through the trees, but it does help that we have great examples like you all to share with our students your successes and the path that you've been on.
I'll give one other quick little nugget because it really helped us too. We couldn't really give back financially, but we built our business a lot by giving back time with like nonprofits, being
Yeah,
on boards, doing things like that. Because I mean, we work a lot with youth-based nonprofits, and so you're helping build the community and everything, but you're also making great, it's a great networking opportunity and stuff like that. So if you are a fresh entrepreneur out of school, no matter what your business is, get involved because you always like when somebody's thinking hey, I need a person to do X, Y, or Z, like you want to be the first person they think of. And it's because you were on that board with them or did different things. And so we really do push for all of our team members to join boards and
yeah.
be a part of something they're
Be
passionate
a part
about.
of the chamber, be a part of,
Yeah, all the things, all the things.
there are in Bowling Green in particular. I just paid for a bunch of people on my team to join the Bowling Green Young Professionals Group,
Mhm.
and there are several other organizations. There are women's groups. There's lots of different places that I mean it. And another reason that I really like that too, and especially if we're speaking to a young person who wants to be promoted early and often and maybe is frustrated at that that's not moving at the pace that they expect. What I encourage my team to do is go out and get involved, because if you're not scratching the leadership itch that you want, where you're getting paid, go out and volunteer and, join a board or join a group or take a leadership role within those groups. And then that really helps. I mean, you can put that on your resume,
Yeah.
I mean, and it's building your character professionally and all of that kind of stuff. And it really helps you continue to hone your skills and while you're networking with people, because I'm definitely not the type of person that I'm like out there, shaking babies and kissing hands. I mean, that's just not my jam. But I will meet people and make friends with a zillion people and help in any way I can. And I prefer the relationship building side of things than some people that are kind of ladder climbers. Like that's not my jam. But I mean, you do see both kinds out in the world.
It takes all types.
It does to make the world go round, indeed. Well, do y'all have anything else you want to add to our almost 30
to all the
entrepreneur
future
students?
entrepreneurs, good luck. I'll just say
That's right.
good luck.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you all so much. And
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you all more than I can say. And I'm sure my students do as well, because they'll get to write a paper about this now.
Good. Enjoy.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.